Now this figure 18-61 is a rule of thumb method used, uh, say when electricians in the field and they have a horsepower rating of a motor, say, and a certain voltage, and they don't have their code book handy, and they want to use a rule of thumb method to determine the full load current of the motor. Now, in our note, we want to illustrate here to you that usually, a single phase motor is not going to be 40 horsepower. It's just we use this in the illustration only. But notice, first of all, sizing a motor full load current rating when the voltage is 110. A 110 rated motor is a U-frame. If it's 115 volt, it's a T-frame. And 120 volt motors, is usually just a special type wound rotor, motor. Now, if we had a 10 horse, say, in step one, multiply by 10 for 110, 15, or 120 volt single phase motors, and you'd come up with around 100 amp there, see? And that'd be pretty close if you went to your table, 430.248, and looked that up, see, this horsepower for this voltage. Now, say though you had a 220, 230. Now again, if you run across the 220 volt motor, that's the old U-frame. 230 is a T-frame. And then again, 240 is a special wound type motor. And that's why you have those voltages listed in the tables, say 430.247 through 430.250 in the NEC in the back of Article 430. Now, but notice here, same 10 horsepower motor, times 5 now. Divide the 10 by 2, that'd give you 50 amp. And you'll find again that's pretty well on the money if you look it up. Now, let's move down to where you had a 220, 230, 240 volt three-phase motor. Then again, 40 horsepower, divide the 5 by 2, that would be 2.5, and it'd be 100 there for the 40 horse, see? Now, if you drop down and pick up a 430, 440 volt, 480 volt three-phase motor, then again, take the 2.5, divide by 2, that's 1.25 times 40, and you'd come up with 50 amp. And then if you just was to, you run across a lot of these motors up in the east area occasionally, where you'd pick up a 550, 575, or a 600 volt rated type motor, and say you had a 40 horsepower, then you would again divide that or multiply it by 1. And some folks will use 1.27 if you had a 208 volt motor. That's what they would use. But 1.00 times 40 would be 40. And that would be the full load amps that you would use to design the elements of the motor, see? Now, that's just a situation where you want to design all those elements, but the overloads. Then you would put an amp probe on the motor and get the running amps of it and use that to size your overloads, and usually that's what we always did when we use this rule of thumb method. But notice if you start with 1.0, it moves up to 1.25, then it's just 2 times all the way up. Or start with 10. I always like to write it down. You'll never forget it. If you'll just start with 110, 115, 120, start at 10 times the horsepower. And then just divide by 2 all the way down until you get to the last motor, which you're not going to find hardly any of those around in our area. And I'm talking about the Texas area. You'll find very few of those horsepower rated motors. But you can find them up in the east and places, is my understanding. So This would be a method, just a rule of thumb that you could use when you just had a horsepower rating. But if you have an odd size, like you have this 40 horsepower here and you had a 45, then remember, look at figure 18-60. And that's on the money. That's pretty well what it's going to be. In accordance with NEMA 1, motors and generators. But this is a rule of thumb, and it's been used as long as I can remember. I was taught this method way back when, and have used it a number of times, and I must say, knock on wood, that I've never got into any trouble doing it. So that's what this figure 18-61 is illustrating, the rule of thumb method to find the full load current rating of a motor when it's based upon the horsepower and you're not using your code book to find it.